All right, I am logged in here to a QuickBooks Online sample company. The name of this business is Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. You can just follow along within your own QuickBooks Online version. On the left-hand side, start by going to Accounting and then click on Chart of Accounts. And this will bring up a list of your chart of accounts. It will look something similar to this, but perhaps you've edited the names or created new accounts along the way. You're going to create two new accounts like we talked about in the intro video. So over here on the right-hand side, click the green button that says New. And the first account we're going to create is a checking account. We're going to leave the account type to say Bank. The detail type, let's change that to Checking. The name of the account, I'm going to change to PPP Checking. In the description, I'm going to put PPP Loan Proceeds. And then I'm going to click Is Sub-Account. This is the important part of this setup here. So make sure the green check mark shows. And then we need to assign a parent account to this. So click in the drop down and select Checking. So let me talk about what we just did here. Assuming that you did not set up a physically separate new bank account to track your PPP loan funds, this is a great workaround in QuickBooks Online. So you can set up a sub-account to your main checking, your main operating bank account. And that sub-account we're going to use as a tracking mechanism for the PPP loan. It's a dummy account. It's not actually a separate bank account. So when you or your bookkeeper, whoever is reconciling your bank, when you go to do that reconciliation, there's only going to be one main checking account reconciliation that you need to do, because all of these transactions that will tag to this PPP checking, to this PPP sub account, will roll up into that parent level account. So it's simply a workaround that we're using to be able to almost pretend that we do have a separate bank account to track the money coming in from our PPP loan and to track how we are using that money when we go to pay the eligible expenses. So I'm going to save this. We're going to create one more new account. So I'm going to click Save and New. And then the second account we're going to create is our liability account. So in account type, select long-term liabilities. Detail type, select other long-term liabilities. And in the name here, choose something to the effect of PPP loan. And let's pretend Craig's company used Chase as its lending institution. We'll put something in the description like PPP loan due to Chase or loan from Chase. We're going to uncheck because we do not want this to be a sub-account. So let's talk about what we just created here before I save and close. The PPP loan, as of now, is a liability. Technically, this loan has not been forgiven yet, and so we cannot record this as other income to our business. So keep in mind, we want to be able to see a snapshot at any time of our business's financials. And as of right now, if we were to take a snapshot, once you've received that PPP loan money, you technically owe it as of right now. It has not been forgiven. So that's why we're using the term liability. Secondly, the reason why I am choosing long-term liability, it's up to you. If your company currently separates between current and long-term liabilities, and if you feel that the PPP loan is 100% going to be forgiven after that 8-week period, you could choose to set this up as a current liability. But in the event that I don't know that for sure, and in the event that we may need that extra repayment period for some unallowed, unforgiven expenses, I'm going to set it up as a long-term liability. The important thing here is just setting up the liability so that you get that PPP loan on the books. So let's save and close now that we have our two accounts set up. And I want to show you what they look like here. So see, in the chart of accounts, we have our checking, which is Craig's main checking, main operating account, type bank. And then we also have PPP checking set up as a sub-account. You can see it's kind of indented underneath that main checking account. And then we created, if you scroll down a little bit past all of the different assets, we also have our PPP loan, which is down here under long-term liabilities. So now that we have the two accounts set up, let's go through what it would look like to record the receipt of the PPP loan. So we're going to go to New, up here, this plus sign, and we're going to create a bank deposit. Over on the right there, it's under the heading that said Other. Click Bank Deposit. Now, let's say that we received $50,000 from Chase. Under Account, instead of selecting Checking, even though it actually did go to our main checking account, for purposes of record keeping and tracking, let's choose PPP checking. And we'll pretend that it happened on May 8th for example purposes. And we're going to scroll down and say add funds to this deposit. Well, received from, we do not have Chase yet. So you would go through and set up your lender as a vendor. And you can do this in the quick add here, but then go back and add details later. And the account that it's going to is that new PPP loan account that we just created. And I'm going to say PPP loan proceeds. And you could give it a reference number. You can fill in all of this extra details, which is important. But just for this example, I'm going to put in $50,000 and I am going to click Save and Close. And then I want to run a balance sheet so you can see what we just did. So under Reports on the left here, if you click on Reports, and then if you go to the balance sheet, and again, keep in mind the balance sheet's a snapshot so you can see where things stand as of today. If you just run it through today's date, May 11th, you'll see here that in our total checking account, it includes not just our main operating account, which clearly Craig has some bookkeeping that he needs to get caught up to because he has a negative balance in the checking. But what we're concerned with here is this PPP checking. See how the $50,000 we now see in that account? And we also now see that if you were to add the main checking plus the PPP checking, that gives you your total checking. I understand the negative isn't a very helpful illustration, but let's pretend that that was a positive 14 and the PPP was 50, your total checking would show 64,000. And if you scroll down past your assets, down your balance sheet where you see liabilities, you'll also see under long-term liabilities that the PPP loan is showing as $50,000 owed. So that's what we just did through that bank deposit. We created the two accounts and we recorded the loan proceeds coming into our bank account. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can then track your expenses using the new PPP checking account that we just created.